What's up, everyone? Brady Figo here, coming at you again with another album review, or I guess EP review of the new Devour the Day EP, Fragments of Us. It was released this past Friday, July 12th. This is the first body of music, I guess, that we have heard from this band since their 2018 album Signals, and their fourth body of work as a whole. As far as their past albums, I think they were solid. This band to me never really did much that was separating themselves from other bands at the time. Sure, they had some good songs, but I didn't find myself latching onto any of their three albums as entire bodies of work. But I have always really liked Blake Allison's vocals, and there have been some genuinely good and interesting instrumental sections of their songs. And I should just say good songs as a whole. Like, there are several songs by this band that I really do enjoy. So going into this EP, which was one of the easiest EPs to review considering they released 4 out of the 5 tracks as singles ahead of time, so I really only had to listen to one more song to really collect my thoughts on this review. Right off the bat, like, the first song, Empty, is great. It has a very stomping riff. The production sounds phenomenal on this song. The lyrics are very inspired and very emotional. I really like Blake Allison's vocals. Like, the way he belts, "What do you want from me? I've given you everything." Like, you could really feel the emotion in those vocals. Just a great delivery and a great way to start this EP. I even like his more like octane-ish vocals in the first verse, and then the second verse, they kind of sound a bit more synthesized. Like, a lot of times these electronic elements just don't work for me. They end up sounding like really generic to me. But this song takes that and actually does a lot with it. Like, it gives the song much more personality. And it also makes the song have a really cool contrast between the heavy parts and the more stripped back parts. The track Killing Time, though, is one that didn't do a whole lot for me when it dropped, and revisiting it, it still doesn't do much for me now. Just, again, this song feels a bit generic. It doesn't execute those electronic elements as well as the first track, Empty, does, that I just talked about. I don't feel like the chorus really flows well, just the cadences and the riffs. It doesn't sound catchy to me. It kind of just sounds like a radio rock chorus just to have a radio rock chorus. The lyrics are also a bit more generic, just talking about how his head's full of trauma and he's paralyzed. Like, again, not really venturing out here, just a much more generic version of the first track, I feel like. But they really pick things back up with track 3, Worse Than Death. This song dropped last year. It was one of my favorite songs of last year. I absolutely love it. That main riff is an absolute monster. It is produced so well, and it's so simple, but it just packs such an awesome punch to it. They kind of dial things back with the verses again after that riff opens the song, but you get kind of that riff creeping back in again, and it's got a really good build-up. They take this fairly somewhat generic song structure and just make it so explosive. It makes it work so well, and it makes it a lot less generic sounding. Blake Allison's screams on this song sound absolutely killer. And this is a song that, even though I acknowledge it gets a little bit repetitive in the chorus just because of how he's kind of just repeating the same line, it sounds so good that it's forgivable. His belts when he's saying "I'm not over it" sound really good as well. Again, just he conveys his emotion in his heavier, more gruff style vocals so well. And the emotion on this song amps up a ton after that like ambient interlude section between the second and the final chorus. And then that chorus sounds much more full and much more packed with emotion. Like, they took this like fairly simple and somewhat generic formula, and then that little touch of extra emotion, extra ambiance, like, elevates this song so much. Without question, the best song on this EP. Nobody Owns Me is decent. It's one of, like, it's not the heavier songs on here, and it's not the lighter songs on here. It kind of just fits right in the middle. It's kind of just like your basic hard rock song. Not bad by any means. I like it better than Killing Time, but it just doesn't have that same sense of urgency as Worse Than Death or Empty did. But I do like the catchy riff that drives this song. I do like the kind of swing feel that it has the whole time and just the grooves of it. Fairly generic lyrical theme here, but I feel like they executed it fairly well. They definitely could have executed it in worse ways. It's kind of just like a "You're Not the Boss of Me" song, which is a bit overused in this type of music, but again, I mean, I feel like they did a fairly good job of at least making it somewhat interesting. And just over 2/3 of the way through, it has an actually like pretty good sounding breakdown, and then it breaks down into another ambient section to close the song. Like, I thought that actually elevated the song pretty well. I just wish the rest of the song had a bit more engaging qualities, at least compared to the other two songs that I really like from this EP so far. And maybe if this was like a full-length album as opposed to just an EP, this song would stand out more. But in this context, it's very middle ground. And the final track on here, Outsider, the only song on here that wasn't a single, is one that like I really didn't want to like just because it's very octane. And I do think it has kind of an underwhelming chorus and some generic lyrics, but the overall vibe of this song, I can't help but like. It's definitely the most atmospheric song on here. It's not super generic in a sense that it's butt rock riff, electronic verse, Linkin Park chorus, butt rock riff, breakdown, like a lot of newer metalcore is. They just like hone in on the one kind of style of that octane genre, I guess. Which it does give me lots of Linkin Park vibes, and I think honestly this song sounds like a better version of that new Devour Prada single, Ritual. Maybe a little bit generic, but I like the melodies that this song spins, especially in the verses. I think the kind of synthesized vocals in those verses actually sounds pretty good. It has some good melodies to it. And once you get to the bridge, this song actually ends up getting very climactic. It has some chaotic drums in there and some more emotional sounding vocals, and it makes that final chorus actually sound a bit more full and a bit more like it fits in the song and doesn't kind of drag the song down like it did the first couple choruses. And the song ends with just this very simple electric guitar picked pattern, which I actually think is a good way to end the EP as a whole. So overall, I mean, there really was nothing on this EP that I hated. The track Killing Time, not one that I have came back to. I just think that one's a bit boring. But aside from that, there's really is a lot to latch onto here. One thing I will say that I really like about this EP is the production. The production on this EP is great. Like, they take those synthetic elements and those Bring Me the Horizon style elements, and they produce it in a way that makes it not sound overproduced and like it actually complements the instruments as opposed to fully sacrificing guitar riffs for these electronic aspects. Rather, they feel like they actually complement the riffs on this EP. And in the instruments as well, like the guitars sound so sharp, the drums pack such a great punch. Blake Allison's vocal production on here is great. Like, it really highlights all of his vocal aspects, and his performance on this EP is really good as well. He proves himself to be a very good and diverse and dynamic vocalist. Lyrics might have been a mixed bag, but overall, like, this is a pretty enjoyable EP. And I would not mind if their next full body of work, which hopefully will be a full album, kind of follows in this vein, and hopefully they lean more into the heavier parts, because I really think those were the highlights on here. This EP gets a 23 out of 30 for me. As always, thank you very much for watching, and feel free to subscribe for more rock and metal related content and album reviews. I'll be reviewing a lot more albums as they continue to drop. I'm already kind of backed up on them, honestly. And once again, thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you guys later. Peace.